target area?
It's Minnesota, sir.
Oh, damn it, man. That's the genius of my plan. We don't have to traipse all over the world to fight. We can do it right here at home, get us some good fishing while we're at it.
Sir, the enemy is over there.
Then we'll fly them over here. They can bring their relatives. We'll teach them to ice skate. Do I have to think of everything?
Good old Joe. So that happened a couple days ago. Joe fell at the commencement speech for West Point in their graduating class this year. Now, I'm not here to bash on him. I'm actually concerned for him. Joe Biden's a 78-year-old man. And you think about it, when the election comes around, he's going to be 80 running for his second term. Donald Trump himself will be 78 years old come election time. Now, I know many of you have grandparents, parents that are pretty advanced in age, say roughly around the same age as Joe and Donald. Now, often we hear stories about the elderly just taking a spill. They're in the bathroom and they fell. They broke a hip. They break an arm, a bone, get a bump on the head. And as we advance in age, those small mishaps that we consider to us today as just, it's an accident. It happens. Well, those little just happen accidents are life-threatening to the elderly. Even a simple fall like that, he could have broke a hip, dislocated a knee, an ankle, broken an arm, breaking his fall. He could have hit his head on the floor of that stage. If that would have happened, he could have hemorrhaged, ended up having a stroke. All because of his advanced age. Personally, I don't think he's physically capable or have the mental capacity to be president of the United States. Not because he is not an intelligent man or qualified. I say it due to his age. As we get old, the body degrades. The mind degrades. When he runs against Trump in 24, he will be 80 years old. The average life expectancy in the United States for a white male is 78. He's already exceeded these averages. Some people will say, well, he's in good health. It doesn't matter. What good health is at 78 is not what is good health when you're in your 30s or even in your 40s and 50s. It's not the same. Tomorrow he could wake up and find out he has diabetes, or his cancer has come back, or that he may need a quadruple bypass, heart transplant, just because of his age. The body breaks down. We all see it every single day in our own families. You see it in your grandparents and your parents, aunts and uncles, our friends' families. It's hard to watch. Even if Joe is in perfect health for his age, well, that's good. There's a term out there that is called sunsetting. It's when a person reaches an advanced age and things just start to stop working. You know what you want to do, you know what you want to say, but for some reason, the body just can't do it, can't say it. And it's just simple little things like trying to remember a name of a product or a store, even a relative's name. Simply just getting up out of a couch or a chair becomes taxing on the body, taking you longer to go to the bathroom, the way you go to the bathroom. That is a part of aging. Falling consistently. It is natural for folks of that kind of advanced age for these things to start happening. And I worry for him. Not only for his health and his safety, but honestly, I do not want Kamala Harris as our president. Not one bit. Now you're probably saying, well, what about Donald Trump? He's elderly too. Yes, he is. When this election takes place, he will be 78. Me personally, I think that is too old as well. He should not run at that advanced age. Yes, he seems like a pretty vigorous old man, but at that age, anything can happen. You see how his diet is, where he eats. The next time he goes to the doctor, he can find out that his cholesterol is through the roof and he needs, like I said, just like for Joe, he needs a quadruple bypass. And then when you're that age, on the operating table, you're at a 50-50. Mistakes can happen. The body can just give up. So when it comes to being the president of the United States, the most powerful person on the face of this planet, there should be restrictions, a cap for when the candidate runs. We'll just say we estimate a 2-term candidate, and that 2 terms, by the end of that second term, the candidate can be no older than 70 years old. Because it's usually in your 50s and 60s is where the health issues really truly begin for most Americans. Yes, there are many of you out there that actually have had health issues since you were young. Yes, I understand that. But for the majority of us, everything really starts to kick in your 50s and 60s. Your high blood pressure, your cholesterol, your diabetes, all of it. Stenosis, arthritis. All of these things start to develop in our 50s and 60s. And for the job of being president of the United States, puts such a physical toll on the body that it ages you faster than if you were just a regular person out on the street doing another job. Same thing mentally. You need to have the cognitive skills to be able to handle the stress of being a world leader. These men are too old. But this is what both sides of the aisle push on us. Anyone that's halfway decent, of I would say, a more sustainable age, gets brushed aside. I mean, you can look at DeSantis on the right, then Everyone just kind of like brushes him off because Trump's in the race. You pull the Democrats and you ask about Kennedy, who is a straight up moderate, versus Joe. Kennedy gets swept to the side. Because, one, Joe Biden is an establishment politician. He's been a career politician. And why for Trump? Because he's not a politician. That's why the right loves him so much. So it's kind of being forced at us, really. Neither of these men should be able to run for president. Age is a factor. I don't know how much of a factor it is for you, but really think about that. Both of these men that are running for president are the ages of our parents and our grandparents. And some of you out there, maybe your great-grandparents. And for these two, all it takes is, like I said, a slip, a fall. I mean, you look at Reagan. Back in the 80s, okay, he was one of the oldest presidents that served 2 terms. Halfway through his second term, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And it was awful to see him serve those last 2 years. You could see how fast he was degrading from Alzheimer's. And people will say, well, what about FDR? Well, believe it or not, FDR wasn't that old. He was in his 60s. He was wheelchair bound for most of his life, or at least the second half of his life. And that he just hit it. And the way media is today is nothing like it was back in the 30s and 40s. And think about that. FDR, he was paralyzed from the waist down and served 3.5 terms as president of the United States. Think about the physical stress that man was under, already being diseased and crippled. The mental stress that man had to deal with. He dealt with real Nazis, not the made-up ones the left tries to make the right out to be. Just think about that. 14 years as president, a wartime president, through a depression and a world war. That's a strong man. That's a strong president. And I believe he died when he was 67. I think. Don't quote me. So you're going to tell me a man like Joe, who shakes hands with nobody. In this case, yes, he tripped over a sandbag. But it tells me that he doesn't have the mental capacity to be aware of his surroundings. And that's part of being elderly. You know you have a task. I see it all the time. I see it in my own father. He's 84. He focuses on his task. He does that task. But when he's done with that task, he loses the awareness of everything else that's around him. And he will be careless. He will not be thinking about anything else that is around him. And that is how accidents like that, these falls, occur. Joe was lucky. He had a Secret Service right there to help him up. Same thing with Donald Trump when he was walking down the ramp. He had a Secret Service on either side of him, making sure he didn't fall. So that is one of the concerns we all have to have. We are electing elderly people that do not have the capacity, the mental capacity to hold this job. So we have to ask ourselves, are these really our leaders, or are they just our figureheads and the parties are doing all the work? And that's for something that, we all have to figure out. Vote for who we think is more qualified or best suited for this position. So what do you think? Do you think we're all crazy for voting for these two old men? I do. In my case, I look at it as I'd be happy. Believe it or not, I'm going to tell you this. I've listened to Kennedy. I've listened to some of his policies, his views, and I like them. And I like what I hear from Ron as well. So I don't know. Come 2024 and we get into the primaries, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. If someone can dazzle me with great policies, yeah, you're going to win me over. Someone who is going to not buy into the far left, ideology, that's not going to get my vote. That means Joe's not going to get my vote. Kamala's not going to get my vote. It's about moderation. Finding that happy medium for all of us. But that's just me. So yes, we have two old men. They're going to be fighting it out. It's going to remind me of two rich old bums in an alley fighting over empties. And that's more or less what they're doing. Because all of us out here, we're empty. We're done. We're all done with this bull crap. Waiting for someone new, someone younger, someone more capable. Hopefully this time around, everyone else will actually do some research and wake up a bit. And actually, yes, vote angry. Vote this uniparty crap out of here. Pick one side or the other. Just get rid of the uniparty. That's all we have to do. So hope you got me on this one. I'm going to get going here. It's a Saturday. I wanted to do a quick upload before I got out and got ready for work. And so, yeah, stop voting for old people. Like Feinstein. You guys keep putting her in office and she has dementia. Yeah, there you go. There's another one. Okay. Anyway, I'm done. I'll see you guys later. You guys be good. I love yous. And remember, like I said, vote angry and be good.